Check 1, 2. 1, 2. How's it going out there, folks? What is going on, Panther Station? How are y'all doing today? I'm going live here. Giving folks a minute. I decided not to do whole intro video or anything fancy today. Keep it light on a Sunday, as there really isn't a lot to talk about in Panthers Nation, at least to this point. Give folks another minute. Do have some more content coming out. So recorded this week's episode. I don't even know how I could call it this week. Like I do way more than 1 week, one episode per week. But at least the long form content podcast episode I just recorded. So I'll work on getting that cut up and put out today. Also have some new stuff coming in the world of YouTube, primarily different types of content. And I talk about this in the long form podcast, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it today because you'll hear it on there. But making a shift for some shorter videos that are just a little more easy to digest around some quick hit topics associated with the Panthers. So I've got that coming out. There is a YouTube channel out here on online that is using some form of AI to do all their stuff. And as just a general person, I'm like, I can't stand that. I don't know who it is. I don't know what they're using, but they take AI to generate the clips of the video, which I don't really care about that, but it's like they'll take a chat GPT script, give it to an AI reader, and then publish it with an AI created video, AI created like thumbnail. It's ridiculous. You actually have to specify if you upload on YouTube that you're using AI. I'm like 99% sure they're not doing that. But anyways, it's just the world that we live in. But the content to me, I know y'all don't care, but it's just garbage, man. And it's clickbait crap that I don't know. As someone that's organically like trying to grow and build things up, there's just stuff that frustrates me. Maybe I shouldn't care or should care less, but it don't matter, y'all. It don't matter at all. Let's take a look and dive in. I'm gonna pull this up. I don't have an agenda today. This is more of a hey, what's going on, y'all? I am gonna be joining or going live. One, I'm stuffy and semi-sick, but we have another group of Panthers content creators that are going on. Sorry, the real. It's Tawan Don, the real Tawan Don, putting together this Panthers kind of crew of creators. It's really cool. It's 7 o'clock tonight. Oh, let me share this so you can see it instead. Then I'll hop back over. So this is actually going to be tonight. We've got the folks that you see here, C3. I'm not going to pronounce that right. Panther Pickle. Oh, Mike Lowry. Mike Lowry. Two fans in the stands, Uncle Quan, me, and then What's Up, Doug. So we'll all be going live on YouTube. Let's see if I can share this channel, share this tab instead. Live in 5 hours. Yeah, the 7:04 Charlotte Bound Show. So if you want to subscribe or if you want to tune in to this, we'll be going live tonight talking all things Panthers. Panthers Roundtable, which is should be interesting. We did one that was hosted by two fans in the stands to talk through the draft. Guess it was a week or two ago. So yeah, we'll tune in, or hopefully I'll tune in, get to see that. Let's hop back over here to this, and I just broke down the rookie contracts on the last episode. But for those who don't know, number one, I think most Panthers fans know that all of our rookies are under contract. As far as the cap situation, the Panthers have about 6 million in cap space right now, heavily spending on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of that is elevated by Taylor Moton and Austin Corbett, even Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen. Like, you can look across the board. The top 5 players on the Panthers roster right now for salary cap hits are offensive players. That's part of the reason that we're paying so much on the offensive side of the ball. In general, I think the offensive line itself is like top 5, maybe even top 3 spend for the starting offensive line. Hey, I'm fine with it. And I also think it's, again, elevated by the fact that Taylor Moton also has taken that, almost $30 million or so. So 6 million in cap. What will the Panthers do with that? TBD. 89 players on the active roster. We know we'll carry 90 heading into training camp. And don't worry, I will have a full breakdown video on every single player heading into camp. It gets a little messy trying to do it like right now, but I can probably start. I mean, have good faith in like the top 50-ish players on this roster who I have a feeling will be there, at least making it to camp. It's really the tail end of the roster where things get a little bit shaky, and I could go in and start analyzing player X today and not really knowing if he's going to be around for training camp. But hey, we'll get to that point. But it's fun to do that just for me personally, to learn more. I mean, I know a big chunk of these guys, but a lot of the undrafted guys, free agents, even though we've like done those breakdowns and I've looked at them, just to like sit back, all right, let's go back and look at this person. How do we think they can contribute to the Carolina Panthers? If you haven't looked at the contracts, I can pull up the rookie contracts here slowly but surely. So Xavier is your highest paid rookie, of course, first rounder, making $2.2 million, actually a little bit more than Mingo, also more than Terrace Marshall Jr. Jonathan Brooks, second round pick, 1.5 million. Go down a little bit to Trevin Wallace at a little over 1 million per year. Saunders, Jatavian, that is, at 1 million. And we'll have a bunch down here in this range. So Crumity, a little over 800. Michael Barrett, 800, a little over 800 as well. And then same thing for, oh gosh. Charles Smith-Wade. Sorry, I skipped over him. I was like looking right there. And you also see the undrafted rookie contracts. Jalen Coker right there. Imani Richardson, Rain, the center. Everyone else that's on the list right now. This gives you your official breakdown. Dead money for this team, $46 million in dead money. Not good. We know Von Bell, big portion of that. Unfortunately, Hayden Hurst, Dante Jackson, yes, we did trade him, but on the hook for the remainder of his contract. Bradley Bozeman, who we let go. Justin Houston, who didn't even make it through a full season. DJ Chark, partly the reason that we have DJ Chark, yes, he was here on a 1 year contract, but he was also had his cap last year spread out over multiple years. Panthers, of course, didn't extend him, bring him back. So that's what you got for that. And Franklin, Matt Corral, and Brandon Smith. So 46 million. Injured reserve right now hits 495 for Raekwon Williams and 470 for Il Manning. Spencer Brown was also on the list, but he, I think, reached an agreement for his like buyout off of there. So, it's always fun to look ahead, at least at this point, looking into next year in our way too early. All this does not sit well. Does this update? Because you're way too early. I guess it's bringing a few of these forward. So it's definitely right now it's saying we only have 16 million in cap space for next year, which doesn't seem right. So I know things will play out there, but yeah, let me hop back over here. Oh yeah. Oh, what's good? What's good, CD? You should wear the visor tonight. It's always an option. Where it's somewhere in here. It's up there. It's up on my shelf up there. Gonna have to get a new visor. Need to just get one for the show itself and roll with that. Sweet. So that what I like also to share this. So one of the other fun things to do, at least for me as a content creator, is just to go out on Reddit and look at like what are other Panther. And I know you could go on X and do the same thing. I like this idea. This person, Panthers Rule 1995. It's our 30th anniversary as a team. Let's bring back this field. Can we bring back this field design and bring back grass? Is that too much to ask? Probably, but I do like that. Let's see. I don't know about all these. Panthers season, jersey sizing, picking one home game to go to early season. That's a good question. Work gets busy. What would you pick if you could go to an early game? I think from a game that could be winnable, probably like the Chargers at home, at least right now, because they lost so many weapons there. I don't know. How many games do you expect the team to win this year? This is an open poll. I'm going to vote expect. I guess I'll say 6 to 7, 8 to 9 would be nice. I'll have to log in. I'm not logging in right now because I already have that, but whatever. And wow. Dang, Coach Canales on Instagram really taking it, man. See, this is like the sleuth world of people that do this. Like, kudos to you because I just don't have the time to follow every single player, coach on every single platform and analyze like this stuff. Like, what are they posting about and talking about on there? I don't have time to do that. But I guess there's people out there that do it, and kudos to you. I took that personally. So if you don't know the Jordan meme reference from his documentary or the documentary that they had, if you know, you know, and he took that personally. Zero primetime games in Carolina. I kind of say though, I like having Coach on social media on these platforms. It's nice to be connected. I even saw him interacting with a fan the other day. So I can't remember. I don't know who this fan was, but the fan posted that they were looking to buy a jersey and they wanted to get a Canales jersey. They wanted to know which color was Canales' favorite print for the Carolina Panthers. And I can't remember the person, but they tweeted out to Mike K of the Charlotte Observer. Mike K tweeted out to Dave Canales and was like, "Hey, can you help us out?" Sure enough, Dave Canales responds to the tweet says, "Hey, I like the processed blue." So whoever this fan is going to end up getting a processed blue 24 signifying the year Dave Canales jersey. It's nice, man. I tweeted to him. He didn't respond to me, so I did make a play recommendation for him. If y'all don't know, I've spent a lot of time on this too. Like I went to the drawing board. It's like, Coach, I got a play for you. I actually think you should run it quite a few times this upcoming season. I got shot down. To be honest, I think it was a pretty daggone good play call. And if you're curious what that play call was, it was a quarterback kneel. It was victory formation, which was a joke, but I thought I could get him to respond and hit the like button on that. But he didn't, which is okay. But man, wouldn't that be nice for the Panthers to be able to sit back next year and run the victory formation quite a few times? Panthers did not run victory formation in a like sure I'm sure they took a knee at some point, maybe in the first half of the game or to kneel to get into field goal range, but they didn't take a knee to run out the clock because, as we know, we did not lead in the fourth quarter of this past year. Got the lead or technically took over and won the game as time expired on both of Eddie Pinero's field goals. And this is a very weird side tangent, but I guess this is part of my sleuthing. So I do follow Eddie Pinero on Instagram. And I was on his Instagram. I don't know what he's like. One, I know we brought in the whatever Mevis kicker, thicker kicker, whatever you want to call him. So I know there's going to be like I don't know that I'll call it a competition yet because I feel like it's Eddie's job. But we know Eddie didn't show up originally early in the off season. Guessing he's going to be around. Things are going to be fine. He's a kicker. But I think he did start like a kicking camp, which is pretty cool. That was much further in the off season. But I was on there last night and he randomly posted a video of some type of charter boat rental thing. It's the weirdest, like you don't see these guys posting and randomly it's probably someone else's business or business he bought into. But it was like, hey, charter boat rentals. And there was like an Instagram reel with it. And you could click on it, go out, learn more about the I don't know. It's funny. Anyways, yeah, that was quite a bit of a tangent. But the other thing about this, all these like social media sleuths that do this stuff, there's a lot of value in this when we were in the pre-draft process. I can't remember the folks that found this. There were a few that I guess they followed the guys when they were in college or just decided, hey, I'm going to follow these guys that went through the Instagram stories for some of these players that were coming in. And then they were able to determine like this guy had a top 30 visit with the Panthers. One of them being Trevin Wallace, the linebacker from Kentucky. It I mean, we don't get an official report on who's coming in for top 30 visits. But to think that people are sitting there looking at Instagrams, like I just can't do that. I don't have enough time to sit here, go follow every player, click on their things every day. I do enough just to get on X. Like that's the platform I'm the most active on, and then post maybe something on a YouTube post as far as like you can put a text post on there. But yeah, I can't. Anyways, good for them because they identified that. I'm like, well, y'all are much smarter than I am, or maybe you just have way more time than I do, which is probably both true. Yeah, it's a good question about the Sam Franklin contract. I think if I recall Mike K talking about this earlier in the offseason, there was a point in time during the offseason where the Panthers had to make a decision to sign Sam Franklin and DJ Chark by X date, and they did not do that. So we know DJ Chark got shipped out, but I think Sam Franklin was a similar situation. So we did not sign Sam Franklin by that specified date, which speeds up those void years or that dead cap hit, which is what you saw. And so I think that's part of the reason that we have a dead cap hit for Sam Franklin, but he's also on the roster. Just weird nuances to how the NFL contracts work. I'm not an NFL contract expert or someone that's that in the weeds, but I remember Mike K specifically early in the offseason calling out those 2 names and said, "Hey, the Panthers have to make a decision to extend these guys by this date." The date passed, and so that's when we ended up seeing the cap hit come against them from there, which is it's weird. You would think you could, like, retroactively, but I think it's because they're on one-year contracts, and so it's not like you can go out or get an extension once that 1 year's up and the void years come into play. But also another example of why those 1 year rentals, there's always gonna be a place for it. I mean, I always say, like, "Oh, I really hate those 1 year contracts," but it's the nature of the business, and sometimes it's gonna work out really well for both parties, sometimes it's not. But in situations where you don't have the ability to spend a lot, which the Panthers did not last year, Panthers with a lot of those guys, like, you saw all those cap hits that are dead cap hits that the Panthers have. Like, let me go back. Oops, I stopped sharing instead of sharing. Try this again. If you look back at these dead caps, a lot of the guys, uh, oops, what did I just do? I was looking at 25. I was like, that's not right. 24. So a lot of the big name guys from last offseason actually had lower hits last year. It's like Von Bell, Hayden Hurst, well, Bradley Bozeman's different, but Shy Total was on that list. So a few of the bigger names, Miles Sanders is still here though, but a few of those bigger names took less money last year, $3-4 million. That's just the way the contract spread out, and then push that money over into this year or further out. So that's why you see bigger hits for like Bell and Hurst. Like I said, I mean, the yeah. So last year was 2 million. So last year, Tuttle signs this again, what, $12 million, 19 million, $20 million contract. Yeah, contract value 19.5. Panthers didn't have money to spend last year, so they say, all right, we're going to give you a 3 year contract for 19, but we're only going to be able to give you X amount this upcoming year. So that small, like two-ish, $3 million. And then now this year, the Panthers have to pay it, that 8 million and 8 million. This also comes into play when you think about like contracts, restructures, or extensions. I know a lot of fans like to go in and be the cap guru on here and say, oh, we can go in and we can extend Taylor Moton or restructure. And like, sure, you can technically do those things and you can play GM on all these over the caps or whatever site you use. But you have to think about realistically, all you're doing is setting yourself up to pay it down the road. I mean, it's just debt. Like that's all you're doing is taking on debt and then passing it off. And for me, I have been interested in primarily Taylor Moton's contract because we know he's the highest paid player, $30 million almost. I kept or have been waiting and waiting and waiting for them to think about the restructure. But at least at this point, it seems like Dan Morgan and maybe Brant Tillis's approach is like, we're just going to eat it and we're going to make sound financial decisions for the future of this franchise and not continue to do this. Now, like I said, you're going to have situations where you have to do it, where you have to go out here, look at, a veteran. And I mean, even getting into next year, like who knows what we're going to look like with next year's roster. You start bringing up questions again, wide receiver position in the way too early, overthinking it there. But if Deontay Johnson works out, how much is he going to be? TBD, and we're going to have to pay him. But the nice thing is being able to, in situations where you have a good player, where you think, hey, yeah, this guy really is going to be here for the next 3, 4, 5 years. It makes it a little bit easier to swallow and say, oh, yeah, let's do that. Derek Brown, probably the best example of that. So we know Derek Brown originally was going to have what, a 5th-year option around $11 million or so. So the beauty of him re-signing that extension is he's now at 6 million cap hit because of that. So originally we were going to, have around 11. You can see his contract again, similar spot. So he does get a really nice extension, $96 million, but we're able to spread out his hit. And I think having that front office that understands that is really what's going to help set us up. And you have to hit on some of these rookie picks. I know this is not even where I ever intended this episode to go, but oh man, fun times. Take that. All right, let's hop back over to this. What else we got on here? They want to see this. Okay. Wait, did we see? Oh, I didn't vote. I wanted to see this. Oh, that's right. Dang it. I'm not logging in right now. I do have a Reddit, but I didn't log in. Where did the Panthers fall this season? 695 votes, 170 have them bottom of the league, 375 have them bad but not terrible, 75 wild card sneak in, 12 a playoff team, 27 Super Bowl team. The homers are real. Got the Simpsons over here playing homage that we have more people thinking we're a Super Bowl team than a playoff team. So that's fun. I do think you need another tier because you have bottom of the league, bad but not terrible. I think you could have a good but not great category. And if I were voting and putting this in, I'd say good but not great. Right now, I'd love to see them be on the hinge or verge of being a great team, but I know that can take a little bit of time. But I do think sitting in the good but not great range, and good but not great does get you maybe in as a wild card. I know it's way too early to talk about, but and I'm not throwing that out as a prediction that they will make the playoffs or they will have this, this, and this. So I like the good but not great because I don't think they're going to be bottom. They've got an easy schedule, although there are some tough matchups on there. Like the first half of their schedule, still right now on paper, is 6 to 7 winnable games. Not saying they're going to win those, but they have a good portion of their schedule in the first half that puts them in position to be competitive. And if they could get to 5 wins, if they could get to 500, 5-5, wait and see what happens in this. Their second half is going to be a little more difficult with Kansas City, Philly, Kansas City, Philly, Dallas, those big games, and of course your division opponents. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be bad, bad but not terrible either. Like it's hard for me to think they could get worse. Like when I say bad but not terrible, I would say like they would probably stay the same as last year in a 2-win team. I, injuries aside, coaching staff, coaching changes, player personnel aside, like last year, everything that happened, front office, whatever you talk all that up to, it's hard to imagine them repeating is being that bad. Like I just don't see it. But I guess you'd have to define, like if we threw out the win totals beside this, it'd probably make a little more sense for that. But fun times. Film breakdown. Would you be happy if we went 6-11, but all 6 wins were against our division rivals? So you sweep the division. I don't think a 6-11 record is getting you in the playoffs, but you would be 6-0 in the division, all 6 wins coming against division opponents. You sweep Tampa, you sweep Atlanta, you sweep New Orleans. I mean, I would not be mad with that. Like I'd probably be happy. Now, I'd be frustrated. Like, how do we sweep our division and not pick up another game or two outside of it? Like, get There's 3 more games. Like, we were able to sweep. How do we not at least pick up a few more games outside of that? That's kinda that's a fun question, though. I'm gonna have to post that out there. I do like the idea, though. Like I said, you sweep them, although, like I said, 6-11 is not gonna win you anything. It'd be fun to be able to trash talk, at least amongst the other folks there. Amount of, yeah, primetime games. I am a little, the only thing I'm shocked about is not having Thursday night football. And I know that's changed, but it is a little surprising that they didn't at least throw a Thursday night game out there. It could have been a division game like at Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa. I mean, I get it. You're probably like, well, we don't know how good they're going to be. Speaking of the Panthers, and I still think it would draw a decent amount of viewership, but it seems that as you have Amazon and or other networks investing all this money into these games, that they're like, yeah, I don't want the bottom feeders, and the Panthers are going to have to prove people wrong. They're going to have to go out and win some football games this year if they want to be respected and have a chance at a prime time slot. What else we got? Yeah, I've talked about the over under at 5.5. I've got a whole snippet on that. Someone said, is our offensive line really good enough? I have concerns on Corbett's ability to stay healthy and believe Damian Lewis was ranked 12th in run blocking, but 37th overall at his position. I don't know. I want to believe we'll do well this year, but with so many changes, it's hard for me to sing past 5 wins, new scheme, new personnel, first time head coach, essentially a rookie quarterback. I will, the stock worm. A few things here. I'm guessing the grades are coming from PFF, and I've already talked about PFF. I always talk about PFF. I'm not going to let a grade from someone that doesn't know the play calls or scheme. Yes, I think relatively speaking, they probably can get a good sense of how good someone is, but I'm not going to let that be the deciding factor on how I know if this team's going to be good or not, or at least the player position group. I do think you have valid concerns with Austin Corbett and his ability to stay healthy and or just playing the center position. Brand new position for him in the NFL. So yeah, I think that portion is valid. It is a new scheme. Now it's not new schemes. It's a new scheme. It's a new scheme on the offensive side of the ball. The defense is exactly the same. Entire staff is the same. You got to remember that. That's going to make it a little bit easier. And what I've talked about since day one with the Dave Canales hiring is that when you have Ejiro Evero and his entire staff there, of course, Dave Canales will be involved to learn and you know understand the defense and personnel. But you can let Ejiro Evero run that whole thing himself. Like that's its own company, hands off. Canales is just checking in. Do you need anything? Like that's it. That's how easy it can be. Canales spending most of his time building the offense, offensive playbook, and the scheme around that. So you have that. Yes, there is new personnel. We've talked, but when you say new personnel, I think that new personnel is an upgrade over past personnel. So I think that's a plus. I think the scheme itself is a plus in the fact that I think Canales better understands the smaller quarterback and or getting more out of it. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. I think those things factor in. First time head coach. This is the one I really wanted to harp on. And I've done a lot of talking about this on various episodes, but for me, Dave Canales, yes, first time head coach. That you can't unprove that as a fact. But what you can talk about is a guy that's been in the league 13 plus years. So it's not like we're pulling off some scrub off the street or a college coach that hasn't coached in the NFL or a coach that just got fired out of Indy and now is making the journey down because he sold the office on this amazing plan. You're talking about a guy in Dave Canales that coached under Pete Carroll, who is one of the top 5 coaches over the last decade. top 5 coaches over the last decade. This guy has been around winning football. Speaking about Dave Canales, he has been there with Seattle teams that have won. He's been there with a coach who gets it. He's been there with a coach who year in and year out, I know he had some down years, but overall, over the last decade or so, you think Seattle Seahawks, and I know Panthers fans do, you remember those mid 2010s, even early to mid to late 2010s when all those battles between the Panthers and the Seahawks, how many of those battles we had and how good that team was and how much of a rivalry was there. And like he was a part of all of that. He's also had the maturity in going through establishing, developing receivers, seeing receivers who contributed, who focused on special teams, make their way up the roster, all those things, and just having, at least what it seems, a group of guys around him that seem to support him and be better. Now, I know we want to hope that the front office stays out of things, which hopefully they will, but I feel good about that. And the last one, rookie quarterback. Now, like I understand Bryce didn't have a fantastic year. The dude got to play in 16 games, right? 16 because he missed the one against Seattle. Played in 16 games. He got hit however many times, sacked 60 plus times. I'm not like this dude was around. He got knocked around and hit. So I don't know. It's hard for me to get concerned about that. So I feel more optimistic about this team than I have over the last few months and as I've talked about it. But fun times out there. I'm catching up. I don't know. See, the Gamecocks seem to be starting year after year. I will gladly leave with division sweeps in year one. That's right. Do you NFC South bragging rights for sure, man? Sorry, y'all. It's catching up on everything, folks. I think that's gonna do it for me today. I say that because Pearson is waking up from his nap, so I got to go get him since Sarah is not home. My wife isn't home. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Got a lot more content. The full episode coming out maybe tonight. I'll be on the other live stream and a bunch of other videos coming this week. So that's all I got for y'all. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all